So hi everyone, I hope you're well and ready for some Dharma talk, of course, after the chanting and meditations. So we'll go straight into that today. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tatayampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Tatayampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatayampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from their happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are about to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are about to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are about to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is about to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Buddhe Suha. Tayata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Buddhe Suha. Tayata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Buddhi Suha. So now get yourself in a nice position for you to practice meditation. Whatever position is comfortable for you and also helps you to remain alert, mindful, aware, conscientious. And just let you know that in the last few days and also today, I posted some teachings on meditation on Facebook, and it's especially to do with healing the mind and healing the body. Focusing on the positive, then even the positive within the negative feelings, things like that. And then beyond that, beyond what we call positive and negative, beyond duality. So you can have a look at those posts and contemplate the teachings within. I actually broke them up a couple of years ago from a longer article I'd written for easier reading, shorter reading, and in order, in a way, to allow people to contemplate the teachings, maybe a paragraph or 2 paragraphs, maybe 3, 4, 5 paragraphs, rather than the whole article. So now forgetting that, and bring your mind inside your body. And we will release the tension from the body. Starting from the tips of the toes, all the way up your legs, then up your upper torso to your shoulders, and down to the tips of your fingers, and then back up to your neck, your head, and the top of your head. So now let's take a few moments to do that. And once you've done that, scan your body briefly once again to see if there's any more leftover tension that you may be able to release. And just a note, if you find it hard to release the tension sometimes, then either manipulate the body or release the tension on an out breath. Take a deep in breath and then a long out breath and release the tension during the out breath. So now bring your focus initially to the tip of your nose and place your mind on the feeling of the breath as you breathe in and out, all the way into your lungs and then back out your nose again. If any thoughts or mental activities arise, don't cling to them, don't grasp at them, and don't try to forcefully push them away or deny them. But let them go naturally by replacing the mind back onto the breath. That is the antidote when your mind becomes distracted. And also the antidote for the dull mind is the same, replacing the mind back onto the breath more brightly. So now let's practice like this for a few minutes in silence. So now we can feel very pleased with ourselves for engaging in the practice. It's always important to rejoice in our practice, even if it's difficult sometimes. Rejoice in the fact that we've made the effort. And the more you rejoice, the more it multiplies the good conditions that you're creating by practicing. I'm not talking about, an egotistical type of rejoicing, even though I think there's no such thing, but actually really rejoicing in the goodness, your own goodness, the goodness of the methods taught by the Buddha, the goodness in the practice. And in a sense, you could also wish that all living beings have this opportunity to get to know the mind, eventually getting to know the true nature of the mind. But first of all, getting to know the mind and how distracted it is sometimes, how dull it may become sometimes. Get to know our good qualities so that we can reinforce them and increase them, eventually perfect them. And also our faults so that we can decrease them and eventually eradicate them. So now fill yourself with universal loving kindness. Be kind to yourself. This metta or maitri can be translated as universal loving kindness, but it actually means more than that. It's a multifaceted word. It means friendliness. It means harmlessness, non-violence. All types of goodness. Fill yourself with so much loving kindness that it now overflows and radiates outwards to others, initially your loved ones. And also to strangers. And also to those that you may regard as enemies or find irritating or difficult. In other words, to those people that you have attachment towards, that you have indifference towards, and those you have an aversion towards. May all of these people have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they be peaceful. Now gradually radiate further and further this loving kindness coming from your own mind to include all of those living beings around your area. It's up to you what you regard as your area. It could just be your house and surrounds, or it could be your suburb or the whole city. Depends. Like I've said before, during this type of meditation, we actually can be quite creative. And gradually radiate further and further now. This tidal wave of loving kindness radiating outwards to include all of those living beings within your whole state or county. And other states and counties throughout your whole country. And other countries throughout the whole world. Those that you may have an attachment towards, those that you're indifferent towards, and those that you may have an aversion towards. May all of the living beings throughout this whole world have happiness and the causes of happiness, be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, and be peaceful. And throughout other worlds, throughout the whole solar system. And other solar systems throughout the galaxy. into the galaxies throughout the universe, until your loving kindness radiates throughout infinite space. Now also be present here and now, and let's do the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. And may that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. So as you know, we are now about to have a Dharma Talk, and we are covering questions, you could say, but grouping them up and into topics, and at the moment, songs even. So, of course, the questions initially were related to the law of karma, which we've covered already, I think maybe over a month, and then some other subjects as well. And then, of course, when Vesak, the Buddha's birthday, and the like came about, we had the commentary on the birth song. And then, of course, now we're having the commentary on my enlightenment in the teaching song. Okay, so we're up to the part that mentions the Eightfold Path and the 3 higher trainings, and also to share the Dharma, and that it's excellent, you know, the beginning, the middle, and the end. So we will finish that today, and then move on to commentary on the Metta Sutra, or the Buddha's words on universal love and kindness. And as mentioned, I'm actually going to use the songs that I wrote for the musical and the CD, The Universal Love of the Buddha. And, you know, I'll actually go through the whole thing. I've actually printed out a copy for myself because it's been a while since I've recited some lyrics of some of the songs. And then we can learn about where the Buddha gave this teaching and many other teachings. In other words, Jetavana Monastery, learn a little bit about Anathapindika, his lay disciple, who donated this land that he bought of Prince Jeta, and also, you know, to build the Jetavana Monastery, the Jetavana Vihara. And also know about why the Buddha gave this teaching at that particular time, and also where the Buddha gave the teachings, when the Buddha gave the teachings, and why he gave the teachings. So we'll talk about that initially, and then, of course, have the commentary on the Metta Sutra. Now, of course, there's a method to my madness, not only answering questions that came in, and also covering other things as well, but also right now, it's like a refresher course on the Eightfold Path. That's why I chose to utilize the time of the Buddha's enlightenment and the song I wrote for that, and then the first lot of teachings he gave. And so it's like a refresher course. For some of you, you've heard this many times, and maybe others not at all, or maybe only a few times. It gets to help you to reinforce your understanding, or to check it, make sure it is correct. And then maybe encourage you to practice more. Maybe you've become blasé about certain aspects of the practice, the Eightfold Path. Then you can reinforce this, your efforts and your energy into the practice with good intentions. And then the other purpose or reason as well is that the last aspect of the 6 paramitas that we went into was the wisdom aspect. And of course, we took a long time to go through that. I even gave overview / short commentary on the Heart Sutra, and also the 12 links of dependent origination during that time. And they're pretty deep subjects. And so I hope I didn't do your head in for too many weeks in a row with that. And so in a way, it's like I'm giving you a little bit of a breather from some of the teaching, some of the deeper teachings. Okay, so I just wanted to explain that at the top of this class, because I forgot the previous weeks. But also, like I said, to cover questions and, you know, give detailed answers. Once again, if the answers I've given for the questions haven't or need clarification or more elaboration, then please let me know, and I will do so in the coming classes. and even on occasions during the commentaries on specific sutras and teachings, okay? And then, of course, after, now I'm going to go ahead further, after the Metta Sutra commentary, then we will have commentary on the 8 thoughts, or 8 transformation thoughts, you could say, 8 thoughts of transformation. There's different ways of expressing it. Okay, those to change our mind from being selfish to being more compassionate, to change our mind from being ignorant and lack of understanding to a mind of wisdom and so forth, okay? And of course, this teaching does come from about the 12th century, great Tibetan master. But I'll give you all those details leading up to that commentary as well. Okay, so now we're up to the Eightfold Path. Last week, if you remember, those of you that participated live, but also those of you that looked at the video later, that either on the YouTube channel or on Facebook, that I had something blocking my clock, so on the countdown. So I actually did get cut off, but I did finish the second aspect of morality, which is the right action. So we spoke about the right speech and right action last week. So that's covered. So the first bit that we'll talk about just in a moment is the right livelihood. I'll remind you that the Eightfold Path can also be spoken as the 3 higher trainings. The higher training in morality, which includes the second or the third, fourth, and fifth aspect of the Eightfold Path, this right speech, action, and livelihood. And then you have the higher training in meditation. Sometimes you could know that as mental development. And this is on the Eightfold Path, it's the 6th, 7th, and 8th of the Eightfold Path. The right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And then you have the higher training in wisdom, which includes number 1 and 2 of the Eightfold Path, which is right understanding and right thought. Now, of course, you can express right understanding as right view, and also right thoughts as right intentions. It covers both of those aspects, okay? So the reason we mention wisdom first is because that is the goal. The goal is to become wise, but we must regulate our body, speech, and mind in relation to the practice of morality, and then we must focus and concentrate our mind in relation to the high training in meditation, to be able to develop the mind that is really open and have really good insight or ability to investigate and analyze, to develop this insight so that we can develop this wisdom and have the right understanding and right intentions or thoughts. Okay, so that's the reason. We need to mention the goal first, and that's that we're aiming towards it. And so the right livelihood, I'll be really brief with this. It's very closely related, obviously, with right actions. And this is to have a livelihood, whether it's related now to, as the word says, your source of income. So your work, whatever type of work you engage in, let it be harmless, not destroy the life of living beings, not control the lives of living beings, not to take what is not freely given from living beings. And this includes all living beings now, not just human beings. So don't destroy the lives of any living being just to make a living from it. Okay, there's other things that you can do. If you are engaging in some sort of profession that does that, then maybe think about it. Obviously, you need an income right now, but you need maybe look for something that is more harmless and engage in something that brings benefit. You know, so I think during this last couple of years, even before that, but the last couple of years in the pandemic has really put a spotlight on some of these professions. For instance, the medical professionals, the nurses, and so forth. This is to bring benefit. These are definitely bringing benefit and helping to save lives. And quite often, actually, we may have to take a little bit of a hit to the pocket when we initially do change jobs, if we do. Okay, if we do. It's you could say unfortunate in a way, but one thing I learned during this time is that the people that are really, really needed in our communities and that save lives and protect lives are often the lowest paid or not the highest paid. And those are the highest paid, and this is not to knock some of these people, but such as the big business CEOs and those like the type of people actually are not needed to help society to live in harmony and to continue, okay, so in a harmonious way. And so that's, once again, I'm not picking on people. I'm very careful not to do that, because there are many good people in all aspects of life as well. So sometimes we may have to change our ways of earning a living to bring more benefit to societies, to ourselves, to those around us, and also the societies at large and the world at large. And so, yeah, obviously you must abstain from slaughtering animals, obviously anything that relates to killing the human beings as well as other living beings. And, you know, don't engage in slavery or selling drugs and if alcohol, things like this, okay? And then engage in those types of work that best bring benefit to living beings, but are at very least harmless. Okay, I know that it's difficult, and don't be too hard on yourself during your choices during this. Also included in livelihood in a way is the way we live. So the way we can express this is the way of living, the right way of living. So it's to do with your hobbies and sports and all of the other activities you engage in as well. Okay, so that I'll leave that there. I wanted to give you some different types of ideas, but also stick to the actual words of the Buddha without actually going into all of those minor details. You can check previous classes right back to when we first started doing these classes. As you know, we had detailed commentary on each aspect of the Eightfold Path. And some of the aspects actually more than just detailed. Spent quite a bit of time on them, including right concentration. And so then we go on to the higher training in meditation. Now, the first aspect on the Eightfold Path of that is right effort, or what I like to call right enthusiastic perseverance. And because we need the enthusiasm to practice and we need to persevere. Those times when we're not enthusiastic, we need to persevere, make the effort more. As we do this, the enthusiasm increases, because it becomes more natural for us to do so, and we can get some good results that we can rejoice in. So obviously this is to help us to maintain the wholesome state of mind and to abandon the unwholesome states of mind. So if you're, for instance, having wholesome thoughts right now, then you need to keep them. If you don't have wholesome thoughts right now, adopt them. If you have unwholesome thoughts right now, then abandon them. If you don't have unwholesome thoughts right now, then protect your mind from having them arise, okay? So wholesome thoughts that have already arisen, keep them. If they haven't arisen, make them arise. If you have unwholesome thoughts that have arisen, get rid of them. If you have unwholesome thoughts that have not arisen, make sure they don't arise. So quite a simple formula, 4 great efforts, but very difficult to practice consistently, unless we are practicing them consistently. Okay, so very important, these teachings, and to put them into practice. It's like, for instance, you know, I've said this many times before, but it's like you have a fortress, and in the fortress is obviously the leaders of the fortress. And in the fortress, if you have good people, you keep them. This is like keeping good thoughts, wholesome thoughts. If you have good people that want to come into the fortress, you let them in, because they'll be good for the society. And this is like having the wholesome thoughts that have not yet arisen arise. Then if you have bad people in the kingdom or in the fortress, you kick them out. This is like having the unwholesome thoughts and getting rid of them or eradicating them. And then if you have really bad people trying to get in through the gates of your fortress, you don't let them in. This is like avoiding having unwholesome thoughts arise if they haven't already arisen. So I'll leave that there. Then, of course, we have right mindfulness in relation to our body, our physicality, our feelings or mental sensations, our mind itself, and the activities of the mind, which includes all perceptions, conceptions, the Dharma as in the Buddha's teachings, all mental phenomena. Okay, so these are known as the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And we should try to be mindful in everything we do. Whether it's simply eating a meal, be mindful eating. Not only is good to train your mind to be more mindful, but also helps you to digest the food better because you're not going to be scoffing it down. This actually helped my digestion years and years ago a lot, because I used to, eat too quickly many years ago. And then, of course, moving on to the eighth aspect of the Eightfold Path, which is right concentration, to slowly develop your concentration from being ordinary to be more extraordinary and able to focus on objects for longer periods of time, and therefore developing the mind that will be able to understand the reality. I won't go into any more details than that, because we had, like I said, so many classes on the right concentration and different aspects of that in the past. You can relook at them, review them. And then, of course, we go to the first and the second aspect of the Eightfold Path. First one, right understanding, which is the direct antidote for ignorance, totally uproots ignorance. And then we have the direct antidote for the attachment and aversion, the duality that arises from ignorance, is right thoughts or right intentions. And so obviously right understanding is to base your understanding and view on reality. Have a good understanding of the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, how to practice it, how to put it into practice, how to implement these teachings after you understand them and understand the methods. And so then obviously understand that all phenomena are impermanent, unsatisfactory, and have no self. It's the three marks of existence, and also known as the first three of the four seals. Know that nirvana is free from all of this, free from condition, is unconditioned, whereas all of samsara is conditioned by conditions, cause and effect. Then and so on and so forth. Okay, so I won't go into any more details than that, but I'll just leave it at that. Have a mind that is not believing in eternalistic view or nihilistic view, in other words, extreme views. Then, of course, the right intentions means to have intentions that are free from attachment as much as possible right now, eventually totally, free from aversion, free from anger and hatred and greed and all of the other mental afflictions that come from these two. And of course, right thoughts the same. Right thoughts and intentions. We normally use one of those two words to express this second noble truth, but you can use both of them at the same time as well. That will help us to understand, especially us English speakers. Okay, so we only have another 2 minutes to go. And so I'll wrap up this song of mine, the Enlightenment and the teaching song. The next part after it says that practice the Eightfold Path, which consists of these 8 that I just mentioned. Do no evil, do only good, purify your mind. You can take that on face value, but you can also take it as practicing the 3 higher trainings. In other words, this Eightfold Path again of morality, meditation and wisdom. And then for the benefit of all, teach the Dharma. So you should share the Dharma for the benefit of all, because it's excellent in the beginning, whether you're starting out on the practice, just starting to learn the very basics, the foundation. It's excellent in the middle as you traverse the path to whatever levels you're at right now and into the future. And it's excellent in the end. Of course, it's excellent in the end because we realize the fruit of the path, which is enlightenment. Can be expressed as Anuttara Samyak Sambuddhi, or unsurpassed supreme enlightenment. That's in Sanskrit, translated to English, or Sammasambuddhassa, so the supreme enlightenment, translated from the Pali. Or you can express it as Nirvana, or Nibbana, or cessation of suffering. All of these can be used. But they are only words, because enlightenment is actually beyond words, inexpressible, unthinkable. Wisdom gone beyond, unborn, unceasing, space like in essence, clearly perceived when we realize it for ourselves. So I rejoice in your goodness. I won't get cut off this week, I know. And please study well, not too much, not too little. Practice well and share the Dharma well as well. And don't be too hard on yourself, but don't be too lazy too. As I said, I rejoice in your goodness as always.